Yeah, she showed us a few other ones before. Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank you.
Kathy, how are you? Fine, thank you.
Yes.
All right.
We'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, do we have any hearing of citizens? No one's here.
Surprised.
Okay, we will start the interview process for the vacant board seat.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Craig Schmidt, first candidate this evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr.
Hello.
Schmidt. You've been through the process with us before.
Yep.
We will stick to the same process. We'll start with 9 questions. I'll start with the first question, and then we will rotate this way, and everyone will have a chance, opportunity to ask a question. The first question is, what qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district, and are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
Qualities and skills and experience. And first of all, yes, I would, to the last part of your question, I'm always interested in advancing my skills and qualities and character. So yes to that question. My experience in education is vast, from custodial work to driving a bus through superintendency. So I have vast experience. Most of my experience in education is in personnel, hiring, assessing, releasing employees, that kind of thing. Qualities I would bring, I would say my experience in dealing with the whole child, and not just with children, but with adults. I schooled myself and I wrote some classes in socio-emotional issues and stress management, attitude, that kind of thing. So I have a lot of experience in my real qualities, I would say, would be the heart that I bring to education for the children, especially in their socio-emotional issues.
Thank you.
I get the second question. In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate? And what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
Would you repeat that, please?
Sure. In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate? And what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
I think the most important thing that we can equip our children with when they leave school are the skills, let me call them interpersonal skills in the workplace. We find that when people fail, whether it's in teaching or whether it's in plumbing or whatever, when people fail, it's usually not for the reasons of the technical skill that they have or don't have. It's usually for reasons that they don't have the right work ethic or the right social, emotional skills or interpersonal skills to succeed in the workplace, to get along with fellow workers and so forth. I found this to be especially true in the teaching profession, that if teachers didn't have the interpersonal skills to get along, to work as a team, to cooperate and compromise, then they weren't much good in the classroom with their technical skills. So I would say that the most important skills we can equip children with would be life skills, just in the skills that you would need to be successful, whether you are a heart surgeon or an electrician. Top three things, I'd start with that. I'd do an inventory of how well we do in this area in equipping our children with those interpersonal skills. I would work more on equipping some of our children with the trades if they want to go into the trades. We should buff up the work we do with children in the trade skills. And the third thing, I think, would be the development of your staff. We're in turbulent times, and I'm told that there's a lot of pressure being put not just on the students, but on the teaching staff. And so I think, just as you asked me, am I willing to grow, I think we should be working on ensuring that our teachers have growth opportunities, and especially in dealing with the turbulent times.
All right. Thanks. All right. What do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
Basically to see that the board policy is implemented. It's a responsibility for them to have an idea of what the community feels about the schools, what things the community would like from the schools. Continually evaluate the leadership to see that the school district's leadership is sound and according to the wishes of the community and the board. Just overseeing, definitely not into micromanaging. I'm not for that. You have a CEO, we have a CEO, and he's responsible to the community. You represent the community, so I would work on making sure that the leadership is sufficient and up to the standards that we expect.
Thank you.
After review and discussion of significant issues, the board operates on a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle the situation?
Very maturely. I don't get my way a lot, and I've learned to deal with it. So I have unique and different views on education, and have for 35 years, and I haven't gotten much traction with them, so I live with that. So yes, I would accept that very well and support it.
What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
Would you repeat that, please, Ron?
Yes. What is your understanding of a board member's role? In other words, what do you think are the superintendent's responsibilities that you as a board member would expect?
What I, as a board member, would expect of the responsibilities of the superintendent. As a board member, I would expect that the superintendent is carrying out the desires, the wishes, the mission, and the policy of the Board of Education. I would be careful that the CEO understood the temperament of the community, the needs of the community, and that he fulfilled the responsibility of carrying those out according to the board's wishes.
Thank you.
Was I clear on that, Ron? I'm not sure.
Pardon?
Was I clear on that? I'm not sure I understood the
I think
question.
so.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hello.
Hi.
Like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you, as a board member, feel comfortable in this situation?
One more time, please,
Sure.
Ruth.
Yep. As a board member, sorry, got ahead of myself here. Like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you, as a board member, feel comfortable in this situation?
Letting the president speak for the board?
Yes.
Yes, without question.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's very counterproductive to have several people representing the voice of the board. It has one voice, and I would have only one vote in that voice.
As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what's best for your students and the district. What does that mean to you?
It means without question that I'm serving on the board for the interest of the students, not myself or anybody else. So every decision I made or voted, every vote I made on the board would be in the interest of the students, regardless of my personal interest. I want to emphasize that.
Describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked for your support on a particularly hot issue.
I definitely couldn't grant them my support. I mean, if that's the only question you're asking me, but I would hear what they had to say and say that, you know, as a board member, I can only deal with that in front of a whole board, so I definitely wouldn't say I'm going to support you.
And for the last question, so this concludes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy?
I would like you to know that I don't interview very well. I don't represent myself in an interview very well. I'm an expert at interviewing. I spent 15 years in personnel learning how to interview various people, and yet when I'm in an interview, I don't really communicate who I am. So I said to some people, I said, you know, what would you say about me if the Board of Education asked you? And some people, well, Linda O'Keefe said I could use her name. She's a former teacher. Linda said he's transparent, honest, upright, just, humorous. I think that's a bit generous, and gentleman. So I'm an athlete. I played college hockey. I was a cheater when I was a kid in schools. I had to have humility beaten into me. I think that's important. I think humility is the mother of all virtues. For a long time, I've wanted to make changes in education that would benefit socioeconomically deprived children. That's my major interest in seeking a position on a Board of Education. It's almost a fault that I want to help that population of children. So that I think a lot of times I don't communicate that in an interview where I'm being asked technical questions. That I really want to help children. I'm very creative. I've thought for years about what I would do if I were the king and with my school system to change the society. So I'm kind of an idealist, a dreamer, but I also have a lot of experience, knowledge, and wisdom that I would bring to the students in Dowagiac. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Schmidt, that concludes our interview. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Bert.
Good evening.
Mr. Brewer, we have 9 questions to ask you, and Tracy Hatcher is going to ask the first question.
Do you guys would like me to keep the mask on or take
It's
it
up
off?
to you.
Okay,
You can-
I'm just going to take it off so you guys can hear me a
Yep.
little bit better
Okay.
if you don't mind. Hey, good evening.
What qualities, skills, and experience would you bring that would be a contribution to the district and are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
To begin with some of the skills, I'll start with that first. Some of the skills that I possess is I'm a problem solver. If when I go to work and I talk to some of my staff, some of the things that I discuss with them is, hey, let's focus on a solution and not focus on a problem. Sometimes you can get lost in that problem. I'm results oriented. I want to be able to develop a plan to be able to make sure that we are continuously moving in the right direction. Some of the experience or some of the skills that I have, I've been at the college for a little over 12 years now. And so during that time, it's provided me with the opportunity to be able to develop policies and procedures and be able to put them forward. I'm currently working on assessment plans in which we are going to be able to push out college-wide in order to be able to better support our strategic plan. And part of that is ensuring that we have the metrics that are there, that we're meeting the metrics, because we need to be able to evaluate whether or not we're doing a good job. you know, part of also being at the college is the experience that I've gained from that is it allowed me to be in and out of various schools, both in northern Indiana and southwest Michigan. So what that has provided me with some insight on what are some best practices in the local districts. You know, what is working, what is not working. Those are all things that I can be able to bring back here and be able to provide some insights. There's really no sense of reinventing the wheel. The last thing I think that, you know, some of the stuff is my community involvement. You know, I serve on other boards and foundations. I serve on them with a couple of you that are here tonight. And so I do a lot of coaching. I have 2 young children that I coach a lot of their sports. So as with you, you're a coach. So it's allowed me to be able to interact with some of our youth and some of those parents. Now, that's a good thing and it's a bad thing, especially if you're on the school board because you're exposed and you're always open to a lot of questions. But I found it to be very rewarding to be able to work with some of them students. And to answer the question about, yes, I would be able to continue to learn. I'm a firm believer in being a lifelong learner. I'd be hypocritical if I was trying to join a board of education or working at a local college and not being able to continue to learn. So.
Hi, Brett.
Good evening.
I'd like you to speak a little slower because I'm not used to CNN the way they talk. Okay?
All right, I apologize.
Thank you. I'm older. I need to process.
Okay.
In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate, and what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on? So there's 2 parts there.
Okay, let me address the important skills that students need before they leave school. I think first and foremost, it's communication. They need to develop communication skills. Now, let me define communication. Communication does not mean communicating via text, communicating via TikTok, Instagram, you know, not those social media platforms. When I'm talking the ability to communicate, it's to be able to look at somebody face to face or on the telephone or sending a constructive email, because they're going to need that skill set when they're either looking for an employment, maybe they're applying for they're interviewing, or maybe they're looking to be able to apply to different schools. That's a skill set that's going to be needed. I think another skill that's going to be needed is around the life skills, and that's around financial literacy. Understanding, you know, checking versus savings versus interest rates versus what are taxes. When I left school, it's a funny story. When my first job, I received my check back. And I asked my dad, hey, who's this FICA guy? Who's this FICA guy that took all my money? You know, understanding and getting some of this financial literacy is important. But also, I think another skill that they need to have is they need to be goal-oriented. They need to have a plan. We see numerous kids out at the college right now that they come out there and they don't know what they're going to do. Or I'll talk with them on the basketball court when I'm up there at the high school. Or hey, what are you doing after graduation? Man, I don't know. Well, you have 2 months. What are you going to do? Working with these kids to develop a plan. And not college isn't for every kid. I get that. But maybe it's the military. Maybe it's going into the workforce. Maybe it's the trades. Let's develop a plan so that kid can leave with something. The second part of your question was around what we need to work on. I think I heard, Terry, I think I heard you say this a few times, and I agree completely with it, is the development of a strategy to be able to recruit and retain families to this district. We have got to find a way to be able to bring families, young families, to this district. How do we do it? We lose families every year to school of choice. We gain some as well. But we need to make sure that we're on the positive side of that we are getting more students in than what we're losing. And I want to be that school in Cass County that, hey, Dowagiac's the school to go to. This is where we want to be. So I want to develop an attraction tool or a strategy on what we're going to be able to do that. The other thing I think we need to work on is community involvement. This was a few months ago or a few years ago when we passed the bond. I learned more about Dowagiac schools in that 6 months to 1 year than I had in the last 8 to 10 years. There was so much positivity that was coming out, and it was such a positive PR, and it was fantastic. It wanted me to encourage me. It wanted me to buy in, and I actually started attending some of the presentations. I want to get back to that. Let's get back to being Dowagiac United and find ways to get the community back involved with our schools. You know, on Friday nights, I want to see them stands packed again like they used to be in the past. You know, where families use that as a night out. You don't get to see that much anymore, but I think we can get back there. You know, I truly do. The last thing I think that we can work on is education attainment rates. Now, at the college, let me define educational attainment rate. An educational attainment rate is where a student enrolls in a post-secondary program 6 months after graduation. Now, it's a program. It doesn't mean they have to be in college. I did a presentation for our Board of Trustees at our long-range plan a few months ago, and one of the things that we are trying to do at the college is increase educational attainment rates within Cass County. What I noticed was that Dowagiac is currently at 48.8%. Sadly, that's the lowest number that we have in Cass County. So what can we do as a district to be able to increase that and develop a plan for those students, to whether they're going for apprenticeships or they're going to the military or where they're going to college, that we can ensure that they're moving the needle on something. I think that's a 3 and 3.
Thank you.
Okay. What do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
I think first and foremost, we represent the district and we represent the community. So we need to ensure that we are good stewards, that we are setting forth a good example. Because sadly, in today's environment, you never know who's watching, listening, or even potentially recording you. I also think that we need to be good listeners. And when I say good listeners, I say that we're not only listening to teachers, listening to staff, listening to the community, but also listening to our students. We have got to make sure we're putting students at the forefront. You know, Tracy, you talked a little bit about your relationship with students through coaching and how you've been able to develop a relationship with them, and they've been able to confide in you because you've developed a trust with them. That's something that we need to be able to work on, because there's some students out there that are lost, and that we need to be able to help them. You know, also as a board member, it's important for us, you know, to be able to improve, you know, some of the day-to-day work. You guys approved the budget the other night. You guys had to amend the budget the other night, so we're going to have to approve budget as part of our job. We're also going to have to be able to approve some policies. We may have some public relations things that we're going to do. But one of the most important jobs that we are going to have as a board members is being able to put forth goals and a strategic plan that we are going to have the superintendent follow. Now, it's important that we provide that superintendent with the tools that they need to be successful, but we need to be, if they have those tools, we need to be evaluating that superintendent and being able to hold that superintendent responsible for following whatever goals and strategic plan that we have put forward. I think that's kind of a gist of what the board should be about.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Brent, after review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle the situation?
I think we've all been part of a situation where we've been passionate about something, we've wanted something to happen, and the majority went against us. It's how we act from there that determines one's character. Are we going to be divisive, or are we going to show unity and support? We need to be able to come together as a board, whether or not that we think that the decision that was made is against ours. And as a lifelong learner, I would look at that as an opportunity to be able to grow. Every one of us has a different background or has a different demographic. So you may have different ideas on how to do things. And so it's going to be my job to be able to fall in line, even if it's not my decision. You know, I'll put forth my opinion, but then I'm going to show support and I'm going to show unity and I'm going to back whatever decision that is and look at it as an opportunity to be able to learn.
Ready? What's your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
First and foremost, the superintendent's responsibilities is to be able to manage the district, ensure that we're meeting budget. Also part of that is to be able to make sure that we are putting forth and we're following whatever policies and procedures that we have a board have put together. Also, though, it's the job of the superintendent to make sure that they do the hiring and the firing to make sure that we have the right people in the right seat and moving in the right direction. I apologize if I'm talking too fast. I just caught myself again, Mr. Jones. So making sure that that happens. But it's also the superintendent's job to ensure that they are following the vision or the strategic plan of what we put forward. They need to ensure that they're doing it. Most importantly, though, I think that the superintendent is responsible for communicating with us as a board, letting us know what is going on at all times to be able to ensure that we're not caught off guard by anything that's going on. You know, I want to know what good things are and I want to know what bad things are. But being in the dark on anything, that we just should never be in the dark. But primarily, you know, managing the district and ensuring that the vision that we put forth is being followed.
Is it me? Okay. All right. Like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command, where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you, as a board member, feel comfortable in this situation?
I have to say yes right now. Yes, I would. Rhonda, I don't know you well. I know your sister from the college quite well, though. And part of being on a board is trust. We have to be able to trust each other. And Rhonda, I would trust, though, that before you would go and speak on behalf of the board, that we as a board would already have come together and we would have talked, and we would have had a unified message that we all, maybe not all, but a majority of us agreed on. So I would trust that we have already discussed that, we have already come to a resolution, and that Rhonda already has an understanding of how we feel as she presents whatever it is to the community.
Thank you.
Yep.
As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions, and you must criticize what's best for you is not only the parent, do what's best for the student and the district. What does this mean to you?
This means being unselfish. You know, if I was to get on a board because the only thing that I'm trying to do is find what's best for me and my family, you know, that just wouldn't even be right. You know, same with you guys. You know, we should never be looking at joining a board for selfish reasons. Now, our district is very diverse, and more diverse than even when I went to school here. And I can understand that if I make a decision that's best for my family, it may not be best for the masses. I need to be able to set that aside, my personal opinions aside, and make decisions that are best for the district, that are going to be moving the district in a forward position. So being unselfish is kind of what that means to me.
Okay. You wear hearing aids, see, and take your mask off.
My time's coming.
Okay. Describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked for your support on a particularly hot issue, how would you handle that?
That's a great question. As I said before, as part of being on a board, it is our job to listen. We have got to listen to what is being said. We have got to show we care. Even if we're running through the grocery store and we're late for something and we're trying to get to an event, it's our job to be able to take a few minutes to be able to listen. Listening does not mean, though, that I have to offer up a solution or offer up my opinion on the matter. If it's a hot topic item, I need to be able to potentially reserve that opinion or my ideas and be able to bring it back to whomever it needs to come back to. Maybe it needs to come back to the board. Maybe it goes back to the superintendent but again, taking the time to listen to that. If I was to offer opinion or suggestion right there, that's a great way for us to be able to position each other against one another, because I could then offer an opinion that may differ from yours, Mr. Jones, and that's the last thing we want to do. We want to make sure that we talk about it as a board if it reaches that level.
Thank you.
Yep.
This concludes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy?
Where do I begin? I was born in Dowagiac. I graduated from Dowagiac. I've lived in Dowagiac my whole life, and now I have 2 young children in the district. I am truly passionate about the success of our district and the success of our community. And I am willing to make the sacrifice, because I'm here tonight, to be able to continue to move our district in the right direction. And I truly believe that I have the skills, the qualities, and the experience of working in education that is needed to be able to help continuously move this district in that right direction. And my hope is that you guys would be able to give me that opportunity to serve along beside you for at least the next 2 years, so that I can work with you to be able to accomplish the goals that we need to be able to be back on the top within Cass County. So I appreciate your guys' time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Brent. I totally forgot about that.
Should've.
Wouldn't that be cute? Yeah.
Introduce to you Mrs. Jessica Shank.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Good evening.
Hello, nice good evening. Would it be okay or if I took my mask off during the,
Yes, you can.
thank you so much.
So, Ms. Shank, we have 9 questions
Okay.
that we are going to ask, and I'm going to get started with the first question.
Absolutely.
What qualities, skills, and experiences would you bring that would be a contribution to the district? And are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
I think I can bring many different organizational skills, teamwork skills, collaboration. As you saw in my letter of interest, I have background in teaching and in education. I was raised on values such as compassion and empathy, and I think that I can bring those skills to the board, especially dealing with the community on a firsthand basis. I am definitely willing to take any sort of professional development. I've done some research at the Michigan Association of School Board. I know that there's plenty of classes and handouts and information that I can learn from there. And I think even being a teacher, I was one of those that enjoyed the staff development. And I think that if I wasn't being a better teacher, how did I expect my students to become better? So I think I can bring that in my learning to the board.
Thank you.
Hey, Jessica, how you doing?
Great, how are you?
Good. In your vision for education in this community, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate? And what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
It's an interesting question. It kind of is like a growth mindset there, thinking about things that you need to work on. I would say that my vision for the school is definitely aligns with the school's vision on your website. Part of the core values are respect, responsibility, and trust, and I think that students need that to go out into the world. In any job, you have to collaborate with coworkers and be a team player, and I think if your coworkers can trust you and know that you're responsible, and we can teach that with our students in the classroom, I think that they would be successful. 3 things that I think for growth. I think that the board is definitely a face for the community, but I think that teachers are definitely a face for the community. Those are the people that the community sees and has developed relationships with. So I think boosting the staff morale and knowing that they are supported and that we're willing to listen. So I think boosting staff morale would be something that I think we could definitely work on. I also know that we are a Title I district, which means we have a lot of at-risk students. So I would like to maybe see some more interventions put into the school district to help raise the bar for those students that are the most at risk. And then I think maybe a third would be just holding the administration accountable, because if they're accountable, then they know that their staff, then teachers, chain of command will know that they're supported.
All right. What do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
I would say definitely voting on policies, budgets, and hiring a superintendent, but adopting curriculum. But I also see them as a face of the community, of course. Definitely listening to the community as well is an important job of the board.
Thank you.
After review, discussion of a significant issue, the board operates by majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle the situation?
I think part of being a team player is agreeing to disagree. So I know that I'm very capable of listening to others and their point of views and taking that into consideration. But I think I'm also not afraid to voice my opinion as well. And I think that it would just be very important to come to an agreement, even if it is agree to disagree.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Ron.
What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding what we think the board should be the superintendent's responsibilities? So what would the superintendent's responsibilities be?
For the district as a whole? Yes. I would say that definitely their responsibility is to lead the community, lead the board. I think that I've watched all of the YouTube sessions of all the board meetings since September, so I'm aware that Mr. Wan will come and present budgets. He has academic reports, annual reports, so he will come and present that to us or to the board, and then the board then votes on those things.
Thank you.
Hi, Jessica.
Hi, Ruth.
Like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command, where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you, as a board member, feel comfortable in this situation?
Absolutely. I think as long as I had the opportunity to voice my concerns or input or opinions, I think I would be absolutely okay with that, especially because I think it's important that as a board you are a team, and I feel like integrity can be lost if not all of the members are on the same page. So I would definitely put my trust into the president.
Thank you.
As a board member, you'll be asked to make decisions where you must put aside what's best for you, your family, and your friends to do what's best for the students and the district. What does that mean to you?
I think the word selflessness, I think that's what that means to me. My background in teaching, I had to make decisions like that all the time, where I had to put aside my views, other students' views, parent views, and just this is what's right for the student, and that's what I need to do because I know that that's what's going to benefit them in the end. I think even being a mother, that has helped as well. You know, you have family influence, you have friend influence, and I think that I'm definitely a good listener. I can take those views and hear them, but then make my own decision based on the greater good.
Thank you.
Describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen cornered you in the grocery store and asked for your support on a particularly hot issue.
I think one thing that I would do definitely is listen. I think that's the most important part. I think compassion lies with listening, and I would encourage them to definitely talk to me. Of course, I want to be that person that they feel like they can come to. But then I can tell you that one thing I would not do is talk negatively about the school system or the board, because that's definitely not my place in that situation. And then I think next I would encourage them to email the secretary in the office and schedule a time to speak at a board meeting or attend a regular scheduled board meeting.
All right. This concludes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy?
I can tell you I've become very passionate about the opportunity to serve on the board. Like I said, I've been watching all of the virtual meetings since September, and my husband has definitely noticed that I've become passionate about it, and so he's definitely excited that I had this opportunity today. One other thing I wanted to say is even though, as you probably know, most of my answers were based on my teaching experience, but I want you to know that you can confidently say, or I can confidently say that I will not make unbiased decisions, and I do not make decisions based on emotion. So even though I have that background, I want you to know that I can come to a great level playing field. So, and I appreciate this opportunity for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
Johnson.
Hi, Angela.
Hello. Hello. Hi, Ms. Johnson. We have 9 questions that we will be asking, and I believe who ended that?
I think I ended.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I believe we're going to start with Tracy with question 1.
What qualities, skills, and experiences will you bring every day as contributions to the district, and are you willing to pursue additional skills through local and state training opportunities?
So the answer to your second question is absolutely. No matter the age, I still am always willing to learn. To further my education, I am looking forward to starting some classes at the local college this year to help further my education and be a better leader. So to answer that question, absolutely, you're never too old to learn. Secondly, I feel that I bring a vast majority of skills. I can manage budgets. I am the Director of Environmental Services for Spectrum Health Lakeland, so I bring a large knowledge of anything to do with environmental services, which includes infection prevention. It includes environment of care of a building. It includes negotiating contracts with vendors. And it includes just the overall care and well-being of the organization. You're welcome.
My turn. In your vision for education in this community, and this is a two-parter, what are the most important skills students need when they graduate? And the second part of this is, what are the top 3 things you believe Dowagiac Union Schools needs to work on?
To answer the first part of your question, as a director of a pretty large cost center in a pretty large organization in this area, I think that what skills I'm looking for are pretty simple: work hard and do the right thing. Unfortunately, that is lacking very much in, I cannot say our community for sure, but I can say in this part of the state. But I do feel that they definitely are achievable if you put the time in. The 3 things that I feel that not necessarily this school, but schools in general need to work on. One is the safety and well-being of our children. The second thing is to support our teachers, however that may be. And the third thing is to hold our administration staff accountable.
Thank you.
Hi there. What do you see as the role and responsibilities of a school board member?
I think the role of a school board member is to lead by example, provide a level of professionalism that people can look up to. And I think that most importantly, we need to be a voice.
Thank you.
Angela, after review and discussion on significant issues, the board operates by a majority vote. When the majority vote is different from your position, how would you handle the situation?
As a team, I work through those challenges every single day. We don't all agree on everything. As a matter of fact, many times it's very unusual that we do all agree on everything. But I know as a team, we all have the best interest of what it is that we're looking at heart. And so we have to know that, we've done our due diligence to try to persuade one way or another, and we just have to accept it and support that outcome.
What is your understanding of a board member's role regarding the superintendent's responsibilities?
The superintendent's responsibilities as it pertains to the board or as it pertains to their job?
Yes,
Both.
job. The job.
I think that their responsibility is to be that go-between between students, parents, teachers, and provide open, honest feedback to the board of what they know. They're the eyes and ears. We make decisions based on what they tell us. So their communication has got to be open, it's got to be honest, and it's got to be fair and unbiased.
All right, Angela.
Hi.
Like many other organizations, our district runs on a chain of command, where the board president speaks for the board when necessary. Would you, as a board member, feel comfortable in this situation?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would support it wholeheartedly, and I feel it's necessary. Somebody has to take the lead, or else we will have no resolve. I absolutely support it and feel it's necessary.
Right, thank you.
As a board member, you have, I'm sorry, as a board member, you have to make decisions where you must be put aside what's best for you, your family, your friends, to do what's best for the students in the district. What does this mean to you?
Well, like I said earlier, I have a very vested interest in our children and their, development into, adulthood and on and beyond into the work ethic that I see them in. So I have a very vested interest, and so my goal has been and always will be about the children. I feel that I have a very tight group of friends and family that support me and that trust me, and I trust them, and they would never put me in a position to try to sway me otherwise.
Okay, my turn again. I get twice. Describe your response if a parent or concerned citizen, yeah, I'm on the right one, okay, cornered you in the grocery store and asked for your support on a particularly hot issue. How would you handle that?
So, working in healthcare, I am approached a lot by family members of patients that maybe they feel things could be done differently. And so how I handle that situation, I would handle it the same way. I would ask them what would they like me to do for them. Would they like to come and speak and air their differences, or would they like me to communicate that for them? In no way would I ever side with them or tell them something that I think they want to hear. But I feel that either one, they're coming to me because they do genuinely have a concern and don't feel comfortable to have that voice, or two, they really want to make that voice and don't know how to do it. So I would pose that back to him of what would they need from me to help them be heard.
Thank you.
Okay, this concludes the interview. What else would you like us to know about your board candidacy?
So, 10 months ago, you all know I work in healthcare. I'm not a nurse, but I work in healthcare. We went through some unimaginable situations, as I know you did here. And I said to myself, I made a pact that if I got out of it, if I made it, that I would make a difference somewhere, somehow. And I feel the best way I can make a difference is help to support this organization. I get calls from schools and from business leaders all the time asking, hey, can we do this? How do we do this? Is this right? Is this right? And so I want to bring that quality and those skills here to keep everybody safe, because the other side of that is not pretty. The other side of that is devastating. So I want to work hard to keep the students and our staff and their family members safe. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I want to be a part of the team to help provide support however I can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my mother-in-law was telling us, and I said, well, nothing's canceled officially, so he might still be able to do it. I'd feel bad if he doesn't get it, because my cousin, when he transferred to here, he only wrestled his 4 years in high school, 2 at Decatur and then 2 here. And when he came here, like, he shot, like, he was doing pretty well there, and that's Division 4.
Yeah.
Like a school of 30 letters, that is. And he came here and, with under Colin and Coach Green,
Yeah.
he just took off.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's tough, but wrestling
It is.
scare
Pretty
me
sharp, the
Yeah.
other
if my
one.
kid was a wrestler. But I
But she
understand.
was at
Okay,
a
board.
disadvantage
Oh, back to,
too, because she wouldn't necessarily know how
Understand
schools
school
operate.
would
She knows how the healthcare operates.
Absolutely, yeah.
So,
Okay,
I'm
so
sorry.
we have our top 2 candidates after the tally of Craig Schmidt and Brent Brewer. At this time, I would recommend that we, I hope I say this right, recommend that we move forward with a vote on picking the appointment of one of the top 2.
do we need a motion?
So how do we do that?
Yes, so we would need a motion to.
We're just gonna-
Move
we're not
forward with
gonna-
recommending that we pick the top 2, pick out of the top 2.
And how do we do that? By just picking one, or we're going to vote
Yes,
again?
we'll do a roll call
We're not
vote
gonna
with
talk
the
about
2.
it? Or are we, we just make a motion?
If we have a motion,
Then we talk about it?
Yes.
Yes,
second, discussion.
I take your oath motion that we select Brett Brewer as the,
no,
Oh.
make a motion
Oh.
to move
oh,
forward.
sorry. I take your oath, make a motion to move forward with the top 2 candidates of Craig Schmidt and Brett Brewer.
Support.
Do we just need all in favor consensus?
That's motion, second. Open the floor for
Okay.
discussion.
Okay.
Anyone have?
I mean, I think they're both good. I think they both were on the ballot. Brent was very close.
Yeah.
Thought Brent did a really nice job today. I think Craig did as well. I think they both bring different things. I would like to see Brent. He does have 2 children in the district. That's where I stand.
Yeah, I have a similar opinion, plus Brett has that tie with the college, and I do like that he gets to see what other districts are doing, kind of a pseudo benchmark, if you will, and he gets to hear about other districts at his role at the college, and he's got some insights that we don't get to see at that, he talked about the post-secondary
That
attainment.
48%. We
Right.
need to work on that.
And I agree 100%. College isn't for every
We-
kid, whether it's the military, a trade. I mean, trades are in high demand right now, and that's awesome. Something like that.
A
you know,
plan, a plan.
A plan. That's the biggest thing. He
Yeah.
said, our kids
Yeah.
need a plan. And I 100% agree, because I've talked to kids before. I mean, before I was even on the board, I was like, hey, what are you going to do? And they're like, I don't know, probably go to college. What are you going to do in college? I don't
Yeah,
know.
let's
Yeah.
try something, yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, he
right.
Right. I agree with everything both of you have said. I agree with everything, and I also I think a lot of Mr. Schmidt, I don't know him personally, but I think a lot of him, I think he interviewed very well. I think he would be an asset to this board. But I agree with everything you said about Brent. I favor him also because he's a hometown boy. He grew up here. His heart is in Dowagiac. I mean, I know Brent just a very little bit, but he lives and breathes Dowagiac schools.
That's true.
And I'm in favor of him, although I do really like Mr. Schmidt also as well.
I think we're lucky to have
We are very lucky to have both of them.
both of them,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, both so talented.
And really, I think all 4 candidates tonight were great.
They're excellent.
All of them have a different background, and, it's great that we had that diversity tonight and got to make that assessment of people. And so that was good to hear what each of them had to offer. But like we all, I think, all discussed and realized, the top 2 candidates have some skills that the others don't have just because of their background and what they've done
what you
either,
said.
Currently or in their past.
That's what you said.
Well, what I like about, and both of them said this, was the need for the skills,
Yes.
which was the number 2 question. Mr. Schmidt talked about needing the life skills, and I have strongly communicated that we need to life skills classes, and again, Craig said the same, Brent said the same thing, I'm sorry, just about developing and having a plan, and it may be beyond college,
Right.
and just making sure that we have those different
We all
different
kind of
avenues
come,
for them.
we all, some of us are older, you guys are a little bit younger, some are in between. But as children, I do believe we were taught life skills. We were taught about, we got a checking account, we understood about money. We understood somewhat about taxes. It's kind of a chuckle, but we had a young man work for us, and he went to buy a house, and he came back to me and he said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so confused." He said, "Why didn't they teach us any of this in school? We never learned anything about this." He said, "Why weren't we taught some of these things?" Yeah. So that's very important. That would be on my list to offer more of that kind of training.
I agree with everything, except Tracy, you didn't say anything yet. But actually, the type of questions that we ask assumes that the candidate knows something about how schools operate. And, the last person that was here, she had some very good things to say, but that was in the healthcare field and it didn't quite carry over. But she talked like she really wanted to do things for kids, just like Smith said. So I just wanted to point that out. It's a loaded thing, and if you want someone who knows something about schools, not just because we went through them, but how they operate, then that's what you're going to get, because the other 2 candidates, probably in time, if they learned more and got a little more in tune with what goes on, they would be excellent candidates too.
I would encourage both of them to run.
Yeah, Jessica, she did her research. I mean,
Oh, she sure did.
she knew,
Yes, yes,
so yeah,
she did.
kudos
Definitely.
I have
yeah.
to agree.
Yeah.
Okay, Tracy, your turn.
Well, I think all of them brought something different to the table that we could use. I wish we could take all of them. The last one who was here, me personally, I felt her heart was really in. Her heart, that's what me, myself personally, I look for the heart of a person. I'll say this. If I can throw a fastball 100 miles an hour, that's good. But if I can't get it over that plate, it's not doing any good. So what's the delivery like? So that's what I'm interested in. And I like both of the first 2 candidates. They were the top 2 to me. And I'm willing to go with whoever the board goes with. I like Mr. Schmidt. I believe he would have brought some good experience. And Mr. Brewer, he's in the school field now. We need some right now time knowledge, because we can't build off of what happened 20 years ago. We need we need to build on what's happening now. These children, these young people that we're dealing with now, there's a whole different set of people, and we can't deal with them like we were dealt with. So we need somebody that's fresh and young, but also we need somebody that's willing to say, okay, I understand where you guys are at. Let me give you a suggestion. So I would go with either one of the first 2. I like Mr. Smith, I like Mr. Brewer, and I like all four of them were good. I said all four of them were good. But I'm going with what the board, out of those top two. I like Mr. Smith, I really did, but I like Mr. Brewer also.
So what do we vote now? How do we do this now?
Yes.
What do we do?
So if we are ready,
Would be a roll call vote?
Somebody's got to nominate, or somebody's going to make
No.
a motion.
You name the
Name the-
candidate that you're supporting.
Okay,
Name the candidate you're supporting.
all right.
so are you calling names or, okay?
Yes.
No.
I'm sorry, Brewer. Brent.
Brett Brewer.
Brent Brewer.
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 Brent Brewer.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?